All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our special Monday edition of the MIS Open House. Just a few quick updates for you all, and then we'll get into the exciting part of the meeting. Testing of data migration is going on right now. Data migration, just as a overview for you all, proved a little more challenging than we expected at first because we own the data, but not the data structure. This meant that Career Edge had to build the new data structure by hand. And so that took a little more effort than anticipated. And so with that, it pushed off the launch a little bit in December, but we're still on schedule for our December launch. And some updated dates for you all. There's going to be some training times during the weeks of December 11th, and invitations will be coming out for these. We'll stop using the Wyoming at Work system around December 20th, sometime that week. And then following the final data migration over the weekend and Christmas, we'll go live with the new system on the week between Christmas and New Year's. More information on those exact dates will be shared as we get a little bit closer. And with that, we get to move on to the best part of the open house. Today, we're going to get a look at the UAT site, and Kelsey Keegan is going to walk us through this. For those of you who don't know Kelsey, she's a WIOA youth case manager out of the Casper office. And Kelsey has been one of our UAT testers, and she's been providing some great feedback and very insightful feedback on the process throughout her testing. So thank you, Kelsey, for your efforts in testing and for stepping up to show your coworkers this today.
Thanks, Trevor. I'm happy to help wherever I can if it means I can try and break something. So I'm already logged into our new website here on the screen that I'm showing you. This is the dashboard that will come up as soon as you log in. And right now I've been testing a user that I created in the system for WIOA. And to get to his page, to go search for him, we're going to go to individuals. And then it brings up the whole list of all the individuals in the system. Currently, it lands on my individuals. So I have 3 that I've assigned to myself to do some testing with. And then you can come over to all individuals and you can see everyone that's in the system. Now we've asked Career Edge to give us an option to be able to search more than just by name and things like that. Those updates are coming. I'm not sure what that will look like right now. But for now, we'll go into Slim Tester. When I created him as a youth, so I was able to do things that I do on a daily basis. And so I could see what it would look like for me when I'm working. So I'm hoping this helps some of the youth case managers. If questions come in, please just stick them in the chat and I'll get to them when I can. So this is the profile view from a case manager's standpoint. And up here, you'll see the profile information, forms and documents, programs overview, and activity log. Down here, it'll show the ability to check the eligibility of certain programs or initiate applications for programs. And I already did a WIOA one, so I'll go back to the individuals. Let's see, who don't I have in WIOA? Already done that too. Dang. Well, let's go find somebody new. We'll do Alicia. So when you're searching for somebody, oops, I didn't mean to click that. Sorry, guys. So when you need to add somebody to your caseload, you're going to search for them. You'll find them in the list and you'll come over, and over here we'll do the 3 dots and we're going to assign the individual to yourself. And we're going to click yes. I'm sure I want them on my caseload. And then we'll go into their profile. We can see how much they've done. And then when we come down here, we can initiate the application for WIOA. I don't know why it's still gray. Trevor, do you know why it's still gray? Why I can't continue?
I'm not sure. It wasn't like that before, was it?
No,
I know they were making some changes, so maybe it's just in that process.
Check your program's overview. See if she's already got it done.
Oh, yep.
Yep, right there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So here's what the application process looks like for WIOA. It'll bring up their basic information. It pulls it all over from their profile. You go through and confirm all of that, obviously. And then we're going to continue through. It's still putting us down at the bottom of the page for some reason. I believe that they're working on fixing that. We're going to confirm all of that, and then you'll go through and you'll do your verified. Because this application is already complete, I can't click on it. And it's allowing us to continue through without the verifying documents in testing, but once we're live, those will be stopgaps. You won't be able to move forward without doing a verified document. And then it has all of the questions that we see now, disability, all of those things. The veteran information, if you click yes, it'll populate more questions for that. And then employment verification, public assistance and education. And then their barriers to their employment, if they have any. And then the income. And then if they meet eligibility, do they meet the definition of low income? And then it'll say yes or no to which programs that they meet eligibility for, similar to how our system does now. And then when you go into their WIOA, so this would be as if we went to our programs tab in WowMe at Work. This pulls up their application, and then you'd come in and your participation would be done under the assessment page. And it looks like this one's already done, so I can't go in and do it, but it'll show the objective assessment, and then you'll do the IEP. They haven't done that yet. And the IEP, there are some changes coming, I believe. So we'll do and then we'll do the begin date. We'll do tomorrow, and then we'll add a goal, and it pulls up over here, and you click the program that it's under. The type of goal is going to be employment. Term of goal is going to be short, long, or intermediate as it is now, and then you'll enter the description of the goal and the end date, and then comments. And then you go to next, and then you would go through and add your objectives, and it pulls over to the side, and you'll click the goal, and then you'll customize all of that.
Kelsey, can you click on the predefined?
Yeah.
And see what that says?
Resume writing and counseling is all that's in there for right now. I know that we have predefined ones in WowMe at Work. I think that's where they're pulling that from. And you go to next, and then it prompts you to enter a case note. And you can upload files to your case notes now, which is really nice since we can do it now, but it doesn't work the way that I think it should. That's just my opinion. And then it brings you back to here, and then you can come in and you can see that it's pending signatures. You can come over here and click sign the IEP. It would prompt them to sign it and then you to sign it. And then you can continue on with what you would do during participation. So you'd go in and you would add your activities. They plan on having for the OA and the IEP or ISS to have those activities automatically populate once we're live. It's not showing that here because it's just not live yet for the testing version. So you'd go in and you'd add your activities, and then you can search for the activity code. Click that and it'll click continue and put you into the screen to enter the activities. So then you would do your 1 day for this. It's in person, none of that's in there. And then there's no enrollment costs to this one. So it'd all be 0. You would enter your comments per usual and then add a case note at the end as well. And that's how the activities are going. And then we have training justification. They just added this. Am I right, Trevor? That was today.
Yes, yeah, that's one of the new pieces.
Yes. I haven't gone in to test this one yet. So
You're doing some live testing.
yes. We'll do occupational skills training if there were training needed. And then you'd pick your industries and then the job title. And then you would answer all of the conditions. Are they unlikely? All of those things. If you've never done a training justification before, most of the youth don't need one, I don't think. No. And then you case note. And then we've got, you can enter in MSGs. It'll prompt everything on the side. You'd pick the kind of MSG or EFL. And it'll populate just like this. You'll have your case note and all of your credentials that you would prove of their skill attainment if that is relevant. And then same for credentials, you'd add that. And then here's our funding tab to see where everything's funded from. You'll see the summary, the enrollment costs, the total allocations, vouchers, the amount that are due for approval, and all of that is also going to be down here as well. That is relevant to the activity that needs money. And then you're able to do closures, exit and outcomes, and follow up. And I haven't done any of that testing yet because that also just came out today. And then you can go to your own profile and edit things as needed. Maybe not today. I can't show you that. I'm sorry. Christina, what else did you want me to show everybody? Is there anything that anybody wants to see that I can maybe show you? Go ahead, Riverton.
Yeah, so I was wondering if you were able to like show us from like the very beginning, as far as maybe putting them through Wagner Pizer.
So the Wagner Pizer application isn't live for us to test yet. I can't do that.
Okay.
Anyone else have any questions?
So I've got a question. Will this work similarly for like if you have a TAA or in our case, Career Compass program? Will it
Yes.
have the same app?
Yep.
application?
So it's not the same application. They have their own with their own questions. They sent us the mock-up of those. They just haven't uploaded them into the testing site for us to look at yet.
So, Mark, just to go a little more on that too, each of the programs will work the same way. So as you saw in there as Kelsey showed in the WIOA application and that whole process, it'll be the same for each program, just with the different program requirements.
Yes, DNI can show you that. So when you're working with a client, Deanna asked, it was stated early on that participants will be responsible for some of their data input, and if I can show that feature. So for WIOA case managers, when you're gathering documentation, your client can go into their profile and upload documents to the evidences page. And so there will be birth certificate, they can add it. You can also add it on your end as a case manager. Just come over here and hit the upload button. So birth certificate, driver's license, hospital record of birth, anything that we are able to use as a verifying document has its own little space here in the evidences page. And then you can go in and look to see if that, what they uploaded will work. And if it does, you can then pull that over to it will drop down in the verify in the application for WIOA what they've uploaded to utilize for that specific thing that we need to verify. Did that answer your question, Deanna? Perfect. And then Annalie, will we be required to do a case note for each individual activity as we create them? Normally we do. So I had that same question. I don't know if it's been answered yet. Trevor, do you know the answer? Or Christina West, can you weigh in on that question? If we're going to have to case note after every single thing we do in the system?
I'm not sure off the top of my head. Oh, Arizona unmuted. I'll let her go.
This is Christina, Arizona. I do see the case noting such a vital piece as well. The case noting might look differently, but the importance of a case note is to tell the story and to justify the expenditures or what we're doing. So the case noting, it might look a little differently, but we will still need to do case noting as we do currently. Did that answer the question?
Not necessarily.
Okay, ask
Sorry.
me it again. That's okay. Ask it again.
So I'm just wondering, because that screen automatically pops up to do a case note after you create each individual activity, will we need can we get out of that screen so we can create one case note to justify everything we're doing in that one session with that client? Or do we need to do each individual case note for each individual activity that we create?
Okay,
Even if it's in the same day, or one session with a client.
Okay, thank you. That makes sense. I believe it's going to work like our current MIS system does, that's just another way to access the case notes. So you can do it right there in the activity, or you can find another one, I believe, but we'll get more clarification.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, currently right now, all of the case notes that it puts at the end of each activity is a required section. So for right now, we are going to have to case note, or we do have to case note after each activity that we input. Tammy?
I just kind of have a comment. Are we going with this light gray typeset? It's extremely hard to visualize and see it. Or were we going with a different color? Or is this the color we're going with?
Tammy, can you tell me more what color you're talking about?
Well, where she's looking at the passport and the school records or ID cards, you know, all those are they look very light to me on my side, and very thin, and it's hard to actually read it.
Oh, yeah, thank you for that feedback. Kelsey, can you scroll up just a little bit? Is that like where it says evidence name and file uploaded, Tammy? Is that a little easier?
Yes, it is for me anyway.
Okay. Yeah, no, thanks for that feedback. I'll take that. We'll take that to them and bring that up, because obviously if it's hard for staff to see the site in different spots, it may also prove a challenge for the public when they're getting in there, and we don't want that to be an extra barrier for anyone, for sure.
Riverton? Your hand is still raised. I don't know if it...
Oh, sorry, I can fix that.
Any other questions? I'm probably forgetting some things to show you guys. I've been looking at this website a lot, so when I get a chance to not look at it, I enjoy that a little bit.
So I've got another question. So if for say like TAA or again, the CCP program, if we collect the documents like the driver's license and birth certificate and things for the client, is that visible or transferable into like the WIOA program then without having to print out new copies?
Correct. Yep. So anything under this evidence tab can be pulled into any of those extra applications. So once they put their driver's license in there, we can pull it for Wagner Pizer, we can pull it for WIOA, CCP, all of those things. Deanna, that's a good question. I don't have an answer for you. Once items are uploaded from the customer, are they locked, or can the customer remove the file? I don't think we've talked about that.
Yeah, we'll verify on that, Deanna. Great question. And Mark, just on your question too, going back to that, anything on the profile information page, and then the evidences and all those pieces there, anything like that, that'll be transferable between programs. So if it's on one, you'll be able to access it from another. So you don't have to scan, like Kelsey said, like the driver's license 3 times if they're in 3 different programs. It'll be one time in the system and then just held on their profile.
Go ahead, Salah.
So you said that for the IEP, it prompts them to sign it or submit their signature.
Yes, at the end. So you'll do the IEP. Oh, and it didn't save mine. Because I'm in the wrong individual. Silly me. So when you do the IEP, it'll take you out of what we would now call the wizard of the IEP, and put you here. And over here in the 3 dots, it says pending because there's no signatures on it. You click sign the IEP, and then it'll bring up for the case manager to sign. And then there should be one here for the participant to sign first.
So is it like electronic signature?
Yep. Yep. And if there is a need where we need to print them off, we can still do that and re-upload it. I just don't think that that part is live yet.
And the signatures, if you're on your computer, you can do it with your mouse. If you're on your phone, then you would just click on the box and sign with your finger. So for a lot of participants, if they're signing, that may be how they do it, is just through their phone and signing with their finger.
I think they're working on, Deanna asked if they're sitting at your desk, do they sign into their account, or can they do it from our login? Originally, Harrison had said that they would have to log in and sign in. Is that changing, Trevor?
I'll get verification on that. And that'll be a piece that we train on when we get into the training too, and how each of those pieces work. We won't, I see the comment about the signature pads. We will probably not utilize the signature pads. You don't need it with this program to be able to have those. I suppose you could, if it's working on your computer and you can get the signature to work, you could move the document over there for somebody to sign. But yeah, you won't need the signature pad. You won't need that extra piece, and you won't need it to have it working in order to have somebody sign. Like I said, it's just the mouse or your finger on a phone. So.
Yes, Matt, that is the plan. Or they can log in from their phone and do it on their phone. Any other questions?
Hello. Okay, so what happens if, so we were just kind of talking, and I have several people in the WIOA out of school youth program that don't have a phone. So what happens when they need to sign this document and can't sign into their Wyoming at Work account with a phone while we're in the middle of the WIOA application? What happens then?
In a perfect world, we'll be able to do it just from our login.
Okay.
But we're going to confirm that.
Allow them to sign while we're logged into theirs.
Yeah, we'll get clarification on that piece and make sure that we do some training around that when we get to that point, so everyone knows how that should be done and what that looks like. So there won't, hope when we get to the training point, there won't be any question about what that looks like and what that process should be when you do have somebody with you that needs to sign. If somebody doesn't have a phone in general or computer access, then they could still do a lot of this stuff from the resource computers if they needed to be in the system to do anything. But we'll get clarification and start getting that out to everyone, so you can start thinking about that process and what that looks like for you.
Annalie, I know that we've discussed like the eligibility paperwork that we send out you'll be able to print those out, send them with the youth to get signed by their parents and re-upload them. I believe that looks like will be the process with the agreements as well. And I think that the Christinas were going to look into being able to have the youth self-attest that their parent signed it, but I don't know if that's something that's going to happen.
I have a question. I'm with Annie in her office. This is Doug Slack. I have a question about the signing. Is it possible where we could create a form to where a parent, if we can't do the self-attest thing, could we do a parental signature form that says that they would agree that their child can sign for all related documents related to the WIOA program?
That is not something that I can answer.
Hi, Doug. This is Christina West, and I don't want to get off really too far, but I can tell you there will be a lot of changes with the youth program and parent signatures. And I am not one to normally promise anything, but I will say that it will make things much easier for everyone, the parent, the youth, and the youth case manager.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mhm.
Lots of great questions this afternoon. I think one of the key things as we continue on with this and go through the training next month and we get into the launch is as you have these questions or you run into these things, let's keep the conversation going and keep refining things to get them to the best place we can. So, but yeah, great questions. Keep them coming if you have them.
Anything else?
I'm not seeing any.
I don't know when we're able to test that, Deanna. I don't know when they're going to upload it. The Wagner Pizer stuff?
Wagner Pizer is going to be around the beginning of December that they'll have that for us. So that's coming very soon, as will be the rest of the programs. So everything will be around that same time. And I see Julie's question there about having everything in the system or in the file contained within the system. And yes, that's the goal. So as we get into it, we will use this new system to help us go paperless or as paperless as we can get. There'll still be circumstances where paper is needed or you actually have to get a physical signature for whatever reason. But the goal is to be as paper-free as we can be. And that'll be a transition period, of course, right, from where we are now with files. And that'll be an ongoing conversation once we get into it, with updating files if we scan them in or if we just leave them until that person exits. So that's an ongoing conversation that we'll keep having and communicating about as we get into the new system and see how that whole process works for everyone and go from there. All right. Christina, did you have anything you wanted to talk about or bring up today?
Not that I can think of, but I think there's a couple other questions I saw. Just
So how can you explain married?
Like if you do an activity in your program, does it keep the Wagner Pizer open?
Yes, that should work similarly in our system like it does now.
I just really want to, and that was a really good question, Salau. Any other questions that we haven't answered or you haven't, maybe you want to ask? Tammy?
I just have a question because I've been kind of following along and I don't do the WIOA applications. And what I'm wondering, is this easier? I mean, does it look easier to what you folks are doing now?
Yes.
Okay.
It's more simplified now than it is in Wyoming at Work, because GSL has dealt with all of the changes from WIA to WIOA and all of those, and have kind of just turned off things but left them for the system for us to see, versus now we're just going to be able to see all of the updated, what's relevant to us information.
I also want to add, I know that right now there are a lot of things that we're not seeing, and Kelsey did a really good job of, that's not in live version yet, or we haven't been able to test. And I think for anyone, no matter what your personality is, that has to bring some anxiety and, oh my goodness, change is, this is a big change for us. But I will say that what I really appreciate thus far about Career Edge is this is not necessarily something that's just coming off the shelf that's pre-made. GSL is made for many states, and you get this product, and in order to make a lot of changes to it, or to get it perfect for you, it takes a lot of money. And so one thing that I appreciate about Career Edge is they are really asking our input, and they are really making this to meet our needs. Now, I guarantee on day one, week one, month one, we won't have everything the way we want it perfectly, but they're always willing to hear us and work with us and mold this. So as we begin, throughout the testing, as well as once it's rolled out, we're going to constantly be asking for feedback. They're going to be saying, hey, is this working? What's not working? How can we make this better? And so keep that in your mind when you're looking at this. And again, as you go through training, there may be some things day one that's not how we want it. And we'll get it right soon. So I want to make sure everyone knows what we see probably day one will not be what we end up with completely. There will be changes and modifications based on what Career Edge is hearing from us. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, and just to add on to that too, I mean, that's why I keep the conversation going, keep the questions coming, and if something's not working the way that you think it should, bring that up to that leadership team that we have for this project, those UAT testers currently. And if that changes on who you should bring that to as we get into the new system, we'll communicate that out. But just keep that conversation going and bring those concerns so that we can keep working with them to get this system functioning as best we can for our state, so that things are more efficient, they're easier, and we can accomplish more work, not behind the computer, but actually with the people that we want to be serving.
Dave asked a question. Has the vendor given us an answer on the individual search issues we're seeing? Trevor, have you heard any updates?
Yeah, so we did some clarification on what we want to be able to search individuals by. And I'm going off of memory here, so don't quote me down the road. But we're going to do last four of social instead of now. I know we do full social, but it's kind of a standard practice with computer systems and security to get away from utilizing a full social security number. So we'll do last four, first and last name, email address or login info.
I think date of birth as well, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, thanks, Kelsey. And date of birth, I do believe that is one of them. And then for employers, it'll be very similar things as well. Searching for FEIN, which is not a security issue like social is. And then business name and phone number, I believe, on that one. So there'll be a few. Oh no, we weren't going to do phone number. There's another thing you can search for on businesses, but yeah, you'll be able to do multiple search fields to help narrow it down. So if you do the last four and last name, hopefully that populates the person that you want. Or if you just do last name, you have a short list of maybe 5 to 10 people, or more, depending if it's like Smith for a last name or something. But it will be able to narrow it down to help find who you're looking for a little quicker.
I would also, this is off the subject, but I also would just like to say, reach out to your center managers, let them look and see who's on that project leadership. If there's not someone in your office that's on that, reach out and, ask for someone to give another demo. Do this in a staff meeting as far as looking at this and having one of those testers share what they're seeing. I think the more eyes we get looking at this and the more we play around with it, the better. So I would really encourage that. Because again, we have, a short time window to get this ready to go. So, I know Kelsey's in Casper and she's done this for us a couple of times. And Kelsey, we appreciate you being willing to do this in this large setting, but we also have testers in other locations. So please reach out, schedule some time with them or a meeting with another center so that they can also share it in a more intimate setting so you can ask questions and really pick it apart. That's all I have, Trevor.
Annalie, I don't know. I've never used that feature on our current system. Are we going to be able to do case notes for multiple individuals in this system, Trevor?
I'm not remembering offhand, but I'll get clarification on that, and then we can get that over to you, and so that you can have that information. And then if that's something we need to talk about with them too, that gives us that door. So another great question, but I'll add it to my list here.
Awesome, thank you.
I've got one more for you to add to your list, Trevor. Currently, we can do that with businesses as well. And it really comes in handy if you're doing hiring events and stuff like that. You can case note all those as to what kind of event it was, and you can still put your service on there as well. And
awesome.
then I had one more question, because I never have heard the end results. Are we going to be able to have the same email address for businesses? Or before, they wouldn't let you have, like, Pete and Mary have their corporate site and all the applications go to that individual email address. And they were saying they needed a unique identifier for that, for your email addresses. So it wasn't allowing you to put the same contact on with that same email address. Did we put that in as a concern or question?
I'm not sure I'm following you fully, Tammy. Could you send me some screenshots of what you're showing and kind of give me a description?
Sure.
Otherwise, I'm afraid that I won't communicate that across very well. So,
okay.
Thank you, Tammy.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining, and thank you so much, Kelsey, for doing the walkthrough today and giving that good insight into the system. If there's no other questions, I think we could call it a day. All right. Well, I hope everybody has a happy Thanksgiving and keep bringing the good questions.